last 24 hours. Powered by Yiddish24, provided to you by The Click. Tuesday, Parshas Tzav, Vuv Nissen, Tuvshim Pai Vuv on Edge. My name is Gershy Schwarcz and I'm pleased to be a host on Edge. March 24th, 2026, Lemespuram. The fighting last night moved to a whole new level. New weapons, new targets, new countries. And while all of that is happening, Tel Aviv residents woke up this morning to a horrific scene. Their entire life destroyed in the blink of an eye with a missile. Terrible, terrible scene there. President Trump is suddenly claiming he had very good peace talks with Iran. But Iran is claiming it's fake news. Did someone have secret inside information about Trump's plans to make a quick $1 million? If yes, who? We have a lot to cover today. But first, why is your Shtreimul not yet by Shtreimul Renew? Go ahead and call them right now. They told me today is the last day before Pesach. Pesach is next week. And exactly a week from now, my friends, is Erev Pesach. Shtreimul Renew, 732-523-1559. Don't wait until the last minute. Call them now. Free pickup and delivery from the tri-state area. Okay? Pressen, Gläsen, Farben machen über die Kabelschene Venai. Your Shtreimul. Tell your friend, tell your neighbor, tell your family member. Shtreimul Renew. It's time for them to have a nice new Shtreimul without breaking the bank. Oil prices are very expensive now, so Shtreimlich don't go through the Strait of Hormuz as easy today. So, you better get it renewed instead. Huge explosions lit up Tehran and other Iranian cities this morning, in the very early hours of the morning, as Iran fired another wave of missiles at Israel. And boy, this was terrible. Tel Aviv had a bad night, what can I tell you? They woke up this morning, at least 6 people were wounded in Tel Aviv after the missiles struck, with buildings and cars overturned, completely destroyed. People were horrified. I mean, their lives literally, preparing for Pesach now, and that's it. I mean, a missile just struck my building. What can I say? We don't understand what goes on there. Our brothers and sisters in Israel, my heart goes out for you. I mean, those of us living here in America and all across the other places in the world, I mean, we don't understand what it's like to run from your bedroom to the shelters several times a night and, hearing those sirens, yes, and, for those of you going out there, hopping a clip of what's going on. But at the same time, it's sad to discover that, the street looks like this. I mean, imagine, this is a regular street in a town of Tel Aviv where Yidden live, Yidden go run about their day, preparing for Yom Tov, and this is what happens. Shem Yinkum Domam, Hashem Yirachem, Hashem Yishma V'yatzal, what can I tell you? Israeli officials say, first of all, Iranian missiles also injured 180 people in the town near Israel's nuclear site. Israeli officials say one of the weapons carried 100 kilograms of explosives. 100 kilograms of explosives. You know what that means? Iran may have used a new missile that can travel very long distances. Like I told you, I think I told you about this one, the one that almost hit Diego Garcia, the American base. And this type of missile is a cluster bomb warhead. Looks like a cluster bomb. First of all, it reaches a long distance, and it's a cluster bomb warhead, a type of weapon that breaks apart in the middle of the air to 4 large bombs, each weighing about 100 kilograms each. In response, the Israeli army struck the main military base of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard in Tehran. They also hit places where Iran stores missiles, the main Hezbollah neighborhood of Dakhya in Beirut, and a gas station in southern Lebanon. Israel also announced it will take over a strip of land for safety, stretching all the way up to Lebanon's Litani River. The fighting was also spreading on the ground in Iraq. Listen to this. Overnight, American planes bombed and killed at least 15 members of the PMF, which is the network of an armed Iraqi group backed by Iran in the Anbar province. This included 3 top commanders, and the 3 named commanders were as follows: Saad al-Baji, who runs the Anbar operations; Haidar al-Mamouri, the group's head of security in the area; and with another guy called Watik al-Fartausi, he's the head of intelligence. Who cares if I pronounce their names right or wrong? I don't care. The American strikes also hit the group's main headquarters and the top leaders who ran the whole entire terror network, showing a major step up in the fighting, obviously. Separately, armed groups backed by Iran attacked the Kurdistan region of northern Iraq, killing 5 Kurdish fighters and wounding 19 others. As we reported yesterday, On edge, the suffering of Israelis living through this missile barrage continues to grow. And today, we are seeing the massive human cost of this displacement, as roughly 170 families, about 700 people, in the cities of Arad and Dimona are now completely homeless, a week before Pesach, after the recent strikes. 15 people were wounded. And an urgent charity appeal is underway right now, ahead of Pesach, to help these families, many of whom have parents still in the hospital. A serious security warning for the public. Iranian channels and social media are openly posting exact maps for targeting strikes in Tel Aviv. They are listing secret addresses, building numbers, and exact GPS map locations. They are putting this together from photos and videos uploaded by rescue workers and regular people after every single strike. One channel posted a full breakdown of the most recent hits on Louis Marshall Street, pointing out exactly how close it is to the Shin Bet security headquarters, the army spokesperson's office, the military base in Kiryat, and Beit Halochem reported that every single citizen has to be very careful. When a bomb strikes or anything happens, do not take pictures or videos and upload it online, because it shows them the exact location with what they're doing right now, which is a very dangerous thing. Every regular citizen or rescue worker who uploads a video from a bombed site is handing the enemy a ready-made map for the exact attack. Right now, there are no law enforcement stepping in to stop this. Meanwhile, Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich is pushing for Israel to take over southern Lebanon up to the Litani River, roughly 20 miles in, and make it the new permanent Israeli border. Smotrich argues that just like Israel created safety zones in Gaza and in Syria, they need to do the same thing here, because Hezbollah keeps on firing rockets crossing these bridges. Now, Israel's defense chief is agreeing with that plan, saying the military will take over a large piece of southern Lebanon. Now, my friends, here comes the master condemner. The master condemner when he is needed the most. French President Emmanuel Macron is condemning this move, obviously. He hasn't gotten enough petch yet. I guess he's waiting for more petch. Let's talk about Montreal Matzah Bakery, shall we? Okay, Pesach's coming, and you need a good matzah. You need something good to digest, easy to eat. You know the feeling, Pesach in the morning after the Seder night, when you go into the Smedrush and you feel, easy, what a wonderful Seder we had, instead of feeling, no. Who wants that? Call Montreal Matzah Bakery on 718-619-3661. See what they have available for you today. MontrealMatzah.com. Enter your zip code to see where nearby they sell Montreal Matzah, because you can still run around to any grocery that sells it and buy, because, yes, it's close to Pesach. And guess what? If you remind yourself last minute, after Pesach, you'll find yourself without any matzahs. 4320 14th Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11219. All right. As we reported yesterday on Edge, the political map in the Middle East is shifting, and we have major developing updates. Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates are taking real steps towards joining the fight against Iran directly. Multiple news outlets are reporting that these two Gulf nations are teaming up with the US and Israel. And the time until they directly join the war may be getting very short as Iran becomes more cut off. Going hand in hand with this is the situation in Washington. Iran has appointed a new national security chief, a former military commander named Mohammed Bagher Zolgadar, to take over the killing of Ali Larijani. This new leader is known as a strict hardliner, meaning he is someone who absolutely refuses to compromise. He spent decades as a top general in the Revolutionary Guard, and even helped start radical armed groups in the past. Experts warn that he is much more dangerous and brutal than the man he is replacing. Ali Larijani was a politician, a man who was sometimes willing to sit down and negotiate with Western countries. But Zolgadar is strictly a military, I think I pronounced his name, Zolgadar is strictly a military man. Placing him on the top of on this top spot basically sends a clear message to the Western world. Iran's armed forces are now taking full control over the government's decisions. This massive change in leadership adds even more confusion at the very top of the Iranian government, right as they face American forces. On the American side, heavy B-52 bomber planes attacked Iran using 2,000-pound precision-guided JDAM bombs, which are smart bombs designed to hit exact targets. At 1:30 in the morning, just recently, just 15 minutes before the clock ran out on Trump's original threat to destroy all of Iran's power plants, Israeli and American forces hit gas company buildings and gas pumping stations in Isfahan and damaged a gas pipe at a power station in Khorramshahr, which basically cut off the supply to Turkey. In the middle of all this fighting, President Trump stood next to Air Force One, claiming that talks with Iran had gone very well, and that there was a 5-day pause on bombing Iranian power and energy buildings. Ironically enough, if somebody looks at the date and time when the 5 days pause expire, it is exactly when the markets are shut. Iran called all of this fake news. Their foreign minister said that there have been 0 talks with the US since the bombing started on Shabbos Zucher. The Revolutionary Guard called Trump a lying American president. Iran's parliament speaker was very clear. No negotiations. Despite that, Trump said his representative Steve Witkoff had been meeting with a top Iranian official, didn't say a name, with the country of Pakistan acting as the middleman to pass messages. Trump also suggested the idea that the US and Iran could share control over the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow waterway where a lot of the world's oil ships pass through. And he openly admitted he is not sure who is actually leading Iran right now, but he said he is willing to run it together with whoever the Ayatollah is. Today, financial experts and reporters are looking very closely at highly suspicious trading in the stock market. Just minutes before President Trump posted online yesterday morning about a change in his Iran plans, bets on the future prices of stocks and oil shot up. One trading expert said, "This proves someone had secret information before it was public." When Trump's post went live, the markets moved exactly the way those early trades predicted. CNN now has an exclusive report revealing that a single trader made nearly $1 million on a website called Polymarket, which is a place where people bet money on future new events. Experts noticed this unusual betting pointing to a US-Iran ceasefire before anyone else knew about it, raising the serious question of whether someone leaked Trump's plans in advance. Following all this, Iran made threats overnight, saying it had special plans for Trump. They also warned that they would attack water systems in the Gulf if the US keeps bombing Iranian power plants like they have right now. 1:30 in the morning, right? Saudi Arabia shut down 24 Iranian attack drones near eastern energy buildings, and Kuwait reported massive power outages after 7 overhead power lines were damaged by flying metal from air defense missiles. Oil prices had briefly dropped below $100 a barrel on Monday after Trump announced his pause on strikes, but prices shot right back up over $100 once Iran denied the talks. Before the bombing started 3 weeks ago, oil was only around $73 a barrel. To help with the shortage, Japan announced it is releasing the largest amount of emergency oil it has ever had, roughly 80 million barrels. In Australia, at least 184 gas stations across the country's 3 most crowded states completely ran out of gas. Imagine that. Meanwhile, top American military leaders are now thinking about sending a massive army paratrooper group to the Middle East, as thousands of US Marines keep arriving for what is now the 4th week of the war. Operation Epic Fury. Former American Defense Secretary James Mattis, speaking in Houston, warned that even a weakened Iran can still fire missiles at ships from the back of pickup trucks along 600 miles off the Gulf Coast. He also said the exact goals of the US and Israel in this war are still very unclear. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated clearly that any deal must protect Israel's most important needs, and promised that Israel will keep bombing Iran and Hezbollah until a deal is reached. Over in Europe, the top leader of European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, said the global energy situation is at a crisis level and begged for negotiations to begin. New information on the assassination of the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei on Shabbos Zucher. I previously spoke about this here on my show when the war began. But we now have amazing new information regarding the assassination of Supreme Leader. Israel used Iran's own network of street cameras to find him and kill him. And the story is now being confirmed, even though I said it here, by major news outlets. Iran had built one of the largest street camera systems in the world to watch their own citizens and catch people protesting against the government. Israeli intelligence quietly hacked into that exact camera network and used it to track Khamenei's movements. These outlets put it as it is. Iran built massive camera networks to a massive camera network to control its people, and Israel turned it into a weapon against them to find their leader. The Mossad released an AI-generated video that shows terror leaders one by one. Yahya Sinwar taking his ticket and getting eliminated. Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of the Hezbollah, also, and the Houthi leader getting his ticket. He's next in line. And then you have Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who also gets up and sees a ticket, and all sitting in what looks like an IDF office, waiting for their ticket number to be called, like you are at the DMV. One by one, their numbers got called, and they go in to be eliminated. And at the end, on the side bench, sitting there, also waiting for his number to be called, is President Erdogan from Turkey. Interesting. People are like, what is the Mossad saying? All right, Protobyte, 347-354-1237. You know what Protobyte does? They design custom-made software. If you have a shul, you have a business, and you want to make yourself a nice custom-made software website tied in all together, you call Protobyte. proto-byte.com and mention On Edge for a good deal. Briefly in Israel, Israeli domestic news, right? The Knesset passed a new law giving rabbinical courts the power to handle regular civil legal fights, like, Dina Toilus, like business, contracts, and property, in the Bezdin, basically shifting it from the main legal court to rabbinical. Rabbinical courts are now going to have the same authority, like, imagine they do it here as well. It's different. Also in Israel, 2 Israeli brothers from Jerusalem have been officially charged with a crime for selling fake AI-generated intelligence, meaning computer-generated information to an Iranian spy. The 2 brothers pretended to be soldiers from Israel's top intelligence group unit 8200 to make their fake secrets look real. Their lawyer argued in court that they were actually trying to trick and hurt the Iranian enemy, and said they should be given the Israeli prize instead of going to jail. In Europe, as we reported yesterday, attackers connected to Iran carried out planned fires targeting Jewish communities in London, right? Where they burnt down the entire, the entire fleet of ambulances parked in that lot. In Golders Green, and also in Antwerp suffered. We now know Belgian police have arrested 2 suspects and sent the army to protect synagogues, shuls, and Jewish areas, shopping areas, especially now before Pesach, while UK police continue investigating the crime from yesterday. Also in the UK, Prime Minister Keir Starmer held an emergency meeting, warning that the heavy financial cost of the Middle East conflict will cause a severe energy shortage until next year, he says. And government benefits will only go to families who actually make very, very little money. And finally, in Spain, the state police are officially asking the United States for help with a major investigation. They are looking into Spain's former Prime Minister, José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, and his suspected illegal business deals with the dictatorship of Nicolás Maduro in Venezuela, who is now in Brooklyn, under federal prison. Overnight, Russia launched a massive wave of attacks from the air against Ukraine, killing at least 3 civilians in Zaporizhzhia and Poltava. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky is furious and warning that Russia is building bases for long-range attack drones in neighboring Belarus, and said Ukraine will now fight back against that evil move. A news story, new to us today, that happened yesterday. 66 people are dead after a Colombian military transport plane crashed shortly after taking off. The plane crashed deep in the Amazon jungle with 128 people on board. Search and rescue teams are working in extremely rough territory to find the missing soldiers. Also yesterday, 2 pilots were killed after Air Canada passenger plane crashed right into a fire truck on the runway at LaGuardia Airport in New York. So I told you the story yesterday. The plane was coming in to land when it hit a fire truck responding to a completely different emergency. At least 41 people on board were taken to the hospital, including the fireman in the fire truck. New reports show a radio call to stop was made too late, and pilots had previously complained that LaGuardia did not have enough air traffic controllers working there. Here in the US, an explosion ripped through a Valero oil factory in Port Arthur, Texas, setting the whole building on fire. Authorities say, briefly ordered everyone living nearby to stay inside their homes, but the order has since been lifted and an investigation is underway what caused these fires. these explosions. More than 5,500 people have been ordered to leave their homes as sudden severe floods continue to destroy the Hawaiian island of Oahu. Officials are warning that a local water dam, which is over 120 years old, could break and fail as Hawaii's heavy rainstorms in 20 years continues to pound the island. Now, Mark Wayne Mullen has been confirmed as the new Secretary of Homeland Security, walking into a government department that has run out of money and has been shut down for 6 weeks now. The human cost is showing up at the airports. Airport security agents are not managing. They're not getting paid and are calling in sick, leading to 4-hour security lines at Houston airports. Hundreds of ICE border agents have been sent to 14 major airports to help fill the enemy spots. The politicians in Washington are completely frozen as Republicans, for now, control the House and Senate. And the White House as well, obviously, but still cannot make a deal, mostly because Trump is demanding strict new voter ID laws. In a brief roundup of other American news, in Washington, roughly $1.7 trillion in federal student loans are now being officially moved to the Treasury Department. And in Chicago, the murder of a university student by a Venezuelan immigrant, a legal immigrant, who is in the country illegally, has started a massive national political fight over Illinois sanctuary laws, which protected immigrants without legal papers. Before we go, a moment to look back at history, especially as we see new fighting break out in the Middle East today. But first, before I tell you about this, let's remember that your business needs to be a little bit Kleeger when it comes to communication. Go on to Kleeger.com, KLEEGR.com, or 845-335-3343. See what Kleeger could do for your business to transform your entire way of communicating. Until now, not just communicating, that Salesforce and CRM, websites, all kind of different things that they can incorporate into that system. It's an amazing system, all in one. You don't have to be busy with WhatsApp and all different kind of things. You can literally get rid of all those apps on your phone and just deal with one inbox, one app, Kleeger. For everything, even QuickBooks. I mean, everything. Invoicing, everything. It can do everything for you. YS Capital Group is there for you when you need a few dollars to make an investment. A few dollars, you can borrow more than a few dollars. You can borrow money when you need to buy a building for an investment. Call 718-831-2168. The answer is yes. And if you want to take a taxi, it rhymes with yes, Arrive Express. Download the app on arrivemonty.com, or you can call 845-622-1111 if you're in Monroe, 845-254-1111. This week marks exactly 23 years since President George W. Bush sat in the Oval Office and officially announced today the start of the Iraq War years ago. In the years of fighting that followed, 4,492 American military members were killed and 32,292 were wounded. At least 200,000 regular Iraqi citizens died, and the amount of human suffering was massive. A very heavy anniversary as we see the news today. Finally, a massive earthquake struck near the island nation of Tonga in the South Pacific this morning. The U.S. Geological Survey said it was a 7.6 magnitude earthquake on the Richter scale. Authorities have since confirmed there is no threat of a tsunami, mostly because the earthquake happened very deep underground. All right, my friends, and this is the news for you today. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see each other tomorrow.
Daily report of the news of the last 24 hours, powered by Yiddish24, provided to you by The Click.